Herschel Walker is the Republican candidate for Senate in Georgia. So, Herschel Walker, how'd that speech go down in the state of Georgia?
Well, that speech didn't go down that well at all because the biggest threat to the democracy is Joe Biden being in the White House. The biggest threat in the democracy is with Senator Warnock and Joe Biden with this high inflation. And that's a threat to democracy right there. The biggest threat to democracy is the crime that they've let come on the streets. And all this has happened in less than 2 years that they've been at the White House. And I think that is sad. I think it's a shame. That's one reason I decided to run, because it's time for a change. It doesn't seem that they care about this country. They care about this state. They care about the people at all. And they're making excuses, trying to scare everybody. Well, it's not going to happen on my watch. I'm going to fight. I'm going to let the people know the truth. And the truth is, we can get lower taxes. We can secure this border. We can get back to being energy independent. But what we got to do is quit listening to people like Joe Biden and Senator Warnock.
Do people in Georgia know how radical left Warnock is? I mean, we've shown some of these clips. This guy's a lunatic.
Well, you know, they're starting to become aware of it. I think right now that's the reason you see the polls are changing. You know, a lot of people that know some of the things he stood for, a lot of people that know what he's done to his ex-wife or what he's done to the kids at that camp. But some of those things are starting to be aware of, and he's upset now. He's saying, why are they doing it to him? Well, they're doing it to him because it's true. You know, I've been very transparent about my life, but I want people to know Senator Warnock is very radical. And one of the things they can see is after 2 years, they see what he's done to this country. They see what he's done to this state. And now he's asking for 6 more years and being a pastor that's lying to the people, like bold-faced lying to the people that he's going to do something different. And I've said, when Maya Angelou said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And we got to believe Senator Warnock that that's exactly who he is and what he's doing right now.
And Warnock doesn't have a Heisman Trophy.
He never won a Heisman Trophy, and I don't think he can ever win a Heisman Trophy. But one of the things, you know, he did a commercial where he was running track, and he was running on the track round backwards. So not only is he voting backwards, he was running on the track backwards as well. And that's one thing that they've been talking about, me being an athlete. And as guys, I'm not that athlete. You know, I've created a business, so I've signed the front of a paycheck, and I don't think they've ever done that. I've done the things that it takes to be a good senator, and I think after that debate, I think everyone saw who was the true senator. It was Herschel Walker. All
right. It's a close race down there in Georgia. It's neck and neck. I think people are going to turn out big. Herschel Walker, thanks for coming on Primetime.
Hey, thank you. And tell everyone to go to teamherschel.com, become a part of Team Herschel, and let's win this great seat for the good people of Georgia.
All right. He has the Heisman, and Warnock doesn't. That's all you need to know.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.